Respected Mr. Prince Shadwal, keynote speaker for today's session, Professor Dr. Amrish Saxena, Dean DME Media School and Director of Studios and Productions at Metropolitan Education, Professor Dr. Susmita Bala, Head DME Media School, my colleagues and dear students. I'm Manmeet Kaur, extending my warm welcome to the third day of session orientation program being organized by DME The Communication Education, which is a A-grade premier educational institution affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University and approved by Bar Council of India. The institute offers law management and journalism programs. It believes in imparting value education to its students by providing proper training to enhance their skills and this education and vigor. This 5-day session orientation program is conducted for the batches of 2019-2022 and 2018-2021 at DME Media School. DME Media School, one of the top media schools in the country, focuses on the growth of the faculty member as well as of students through academic and co-curricular activities. DME Media School has successfully organized 3 international conferences in collaboration with prestigious organizations like Deccan University, SEMCA, UNESCO, Adamas University, PRSI in March 2018, in November 2018, and in June 2020, respectively. We had organized 10 days world's first live digital conference in International Film Festival CIFI 2019 in April 2019. CIFI 2019, we have organized in collaboration with Deccan University, Melbourne, Australia, and various prestigious international organizations. The international conferences were on the theme of India and changing aspect of news, that is ICANN 1, Indian cinema and alternate networks, that is ICANN 2, and issues of community agenda and news, which took place in June 2020, the first 10 days live digital media international conference. So all these conferences witnessed large participation of delegates and experts from different parts of the world. In addition, we have also conducted BG Varghese lecture series on in every month, where industry stalwarts and experts have interacted with the students, and also we have Media Fest titled as Britika. Owing to the disruptions caused by COVID-19, DME Media School adapted to the change and leveraged technology to impart value-added education to the students. Video lectures and in-depth notes have shared with the students, and going forward for the upcoming session, we have adopted a pedagogy which is more in tune with the contemporary times, keeping in video lectures on call a digital learning platform, followed by the specific tutorial and practical lectures. Apart from the curricular activities, we also organized various webinar series, and we have recently concluded our Media Master webinar fields of mass communication. We have also started student-centric chat show face-to-face this week. Let's have a glimpse of Digital Media Campus.
DME has embraced digital paradigm shift by adopting technology-based learning.
Unlike other colleges, we adopted a 2-step strategy. In step 1, teachers would be preparing the videos, students would be watching them. In step 2, the student would be coming to the tutorial, clarifying the doubts, making the presentations, and discuss with the teacher.
At DME, we have invested in the best in the class academic ERP, which allows us to have a 360-degree robust communication amongst all the stakeholders, students and faculty members.
DME's virtual learning mechanism is no less than real-time classroom teaching,
wherein the students are provided the pool of e-learning resources in the form of PPTs, video lectures, and online classes in a very student-friendly environment.
There is no need of mental blocks. Online teaching is as effective and interesting as offline teaching. Let the students enjoy this new mode of education.
In DME, we believe in quality education. We take care of our students. We want to see them happy.
Mental and emotional health are one of the most challenging issues of present times. DME Mentoring Cell takes care of that. Not just this, we go beyond academic curriculum to instill the most important employability skills in our students.
We have with us today Mr. Prince Shadwal, keynote speaker of the session. Mr. Shadwal is an aspiring film director and writer, having an experience of work in direction and editing departments on many commercial films like Tanu Veds Manu, Force, Dam Maro Dam, Nautanki Sala, and D-Day. Working in different capacities on different films, he has helped in attaining a better understanding of the medium. He has done the film appreciation course from FTII and has been an avid lover of world cinema since then. He has conducted film appreciation workshops in a number of colleges in the last few years. On the professional front, he wrote a short film, Dhaga, which was screened and awarded at many Indian and international film festivals. He was also the associate director on the acclaimed Marathi film Baba, released in August 2019. And recently, he directed a short film starring Raghuveer Yadav, which is yet to be released soon. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. Now, I request Professor Dr. Ambrish Saxena to please say a few words and formally welcome our guest of the session.
I think we are already too late and students have been waiting since long. I would like that the session starts so that whatever, is to be transpired into session, so the chance to listen to the.
Proceed with the session.
Okay, thank you. So before we get to film appreciation, one has to understand the films. Only then we can understand film appreciation, what's in house of it. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. So what is cinema? Like all of us watch films, and for us, most of the time it's just for entertainment. And but when we are a student of films and we are studying films, so we have to look at cinema as something more than just entertainment. Like cinema is a mass medium. It's a profession, it's an industry, it's a business. It is a scientific marvel where it is an illusion where moving still images tells our brains otherwise, like wherein actually to as an art form. So if we think that we have to appreciate, film is an art form. So what is an art form? An art form includes imagination, where we imagine different things and create different things. It involves creativity. There are different kinds of perspectives to it. There is it's an expression of anybody. It's an expression and an application where we are creating something from our imagination and producing which is to be appreciated or admired for the beauty and emotional part. So that is an art form. There are different types of art forms. Till 18th, 19th century, traditional arts were painting, sculpture, architecture, and there was performing art, there was music, there was literature and poetry. So it was traditionally divided like that in visual arts, literary arts, and performing arts. Towards the end of the 19th century and with the start of 20th century, the photography came into being. And with the photography, cinema came into existence. And photography and cinema very easily became a part of modern art forms. So why is cinema considered an art form? Cinema is considered an art form because it is an amalgamation of all the other art forms that are present. If we talk of visual arts, it has camera that creates visuals. It paints a picture on a small frame, which is exactly what animation is, and from where cinema came into being. It has art direction, use of props, creation of artificial sets, costume design, black and white photography, color photography, and different kind of cinematography. Then there are literary arts. So there's a story, there's a plot, there are dialogues, there are lyrics of a song, and then there's performance. It is in form of, it can be in form of a song, there can be a dance, and the acting is there, acting is performance. There is background music. So in all the ways, cinema, in many ways, cinema is an extension of theater, which was already a combination of all the arts except photography. And here we are combining theater and photography together, and the cinema is created. So if we understand the reason for the existence of different forms of arts, it would be easier for us to understand cinema. So like all art forms, cinema needs to be appreciated, which is to analyze, scrutinize, and study. Okay. So overall, we can say that film appreciation is art appreciation. And what are different forms of art? We have just seen them. But to appreciate art, we have to understand why are they important. Like, what's the importance of an art? When we look at our past, we can see that the earliest form of art that mankind created was on the walls of ancient walls, prehistoric walls. There were paintings, and the purpose of these paintings was to communicate, maybe to get entertained, or to convey their feelings. These were hunting scenes, and so the art has been present with human beings from a very, very old time. It's a way of expression, a way of joy, a way of making people understand things which can't be done verbally. So we can say that everything that is beautiful, it is art. It can make you feel calm. It can teach you. It can make you think. It can inspire you. Like all the revolutions that happened in one way or other, the art has given impetus to those revolutions. So what's the need to study these art forms? We know that an image is perceived by a person and how it is making him feel. We study art forms to increase creative thinking, like broadening the mind and feeding the soul, like emotionally. People feel good when they see an art form, be it a painting or a sculpture. So to appreciate an art form, like why should we appreciate and how do we appreciate an art form? Our brain perceives every visual and sound with an emotion. We react a certain way when we see a specific color. We react differently when we listen to a particular pitch of sound. So there are different kinds of music, there are different kinds of instruments, and all of this we understand today because we have analyzed these art forms and understood the meaning of each and every visual and each and every sound. So that's how that's how we have made some rules and guidelines as to how to classify these arts and what kind of emotions are if you want to create a certain kind of emotion, so what do we need to include in our art? And we all have read about them, like when we study designing, we have or photography, we study the rules of third, the visual center. When we learn to play different musical instruments, Western or Indian music, or we know that there are different ragas for different moods. And most of the students who are studying filmmaking, or even they've done TV production, they know the plots. There are different kinds of plots of storytelling, and there's a three-act structure. So all of these rules in different kinds of arts, we have developed these classifications and rules so that we can understand them better, we can appreciate it better, and so that we can, if we have to create art ourselves, we'll go beyond these rules, and we'll know beforehand that how to convey our feelings in the most uh, uh, in most exact way. So when we know about all these things, when we study all these things, we realize that okay, we know these things, and we already have the tools to analyze cinema. So film appreciation is just like studying any other art form. However, when we study films, there are many more things, and they refer to the exploration and analysis of the visuals and sound that we are exposed to. So it can be done on basis of several grounds, like some of them I have already told here, and there are other things to look at, like film appreciation involves a deeper look into the setting, where the story is set, where the film is made, who are the filmmakers, what language is it, in which era it's made, and what are the political scenario, and a lot more things. So when we have to appreciate a film or appreciate a cinema, we have to keep many more things in mind when we are involved in film appreciation. So it's relevant on many things. It's relevant for many multiple reasons. So it helps us to understand the history and culture depending on the film we are seeing. It's a good way to understand the history behind it, like and the period from which it's originating. Filmmakers often reflect the problem they face and the issue of the society they work in. So if we are seeing this kind of film, or if we see an old film, old Hindi film, like Mother India, or like if we see a film of Satyajit Ray, so we better understand the times we were living. We understand we get to know the culture and the problems, the poverty the country was facing. So it brings us face to face with the history, which is not possible with in any other way. Like we get to see it the first time. We analyze it and put us in the minds of the filmmaker, and what was he thinking, what's he trying to convey, what are the problems society was facing. So and in comparison to today's times, so we can empathize and relate to the problems people are facing on a personal level. Yeah. So the third thing is interpretation. Most of the students must have watched this film. It's Inception from Christopher Nolan. So in the end, there are still debates going on. Like the director has deliberately left the ending open-ended, where people can interpret in their own way if it's a dream or if it's a reality. So for many people, art is meant to express something that we ourselves feel unable to express or convey, and the people who are watching, the audience, they bring their basically the perspective of the people comes together with the artwork, then only the artwork gets completed. Like for every artist, the interpretation is very important, and the interpretation varies with everyone who's watching a film or who's watching a scene. So that is the one final element to complete an art form, to complete a film, to complete the work, in which is interpretation. And then finally, the fourth important thing is trends and styles. Like when we appreciate a film, so, and like all the other things that I've mentioned here, they are in present times. Like we are doing it for now, but like when we do film appreciation, when we are analyzing films for a long time, we realize that there are patterns in in the filmography of a director, or in the films made in a certain region, or in a certain decade. And then we study, then why are these 10 years, or why are these 5 years, different films are made in these 5 years. So and that's how, when we analyze that, we classify them into different eras, and that's how we get to know the different styles of filmmaking or different trends of filmmaking. So when we study world cinema, when we start watching world cinema and we study it, we are told that there are different kind of movements all around the world. In 20s and 30s, there was French Impressionism, and at the same time, almost the same time, there was German Expressionism. There was a Surrealist movement. There is in Soviet Russia, they developed a different kind of filmmaking. There was a different thought process when they made film, and it was called the Soviet montage theory. It was based on editing. So post World War, there was Italian neorealism, there was French New Wave. So when we start appreciating films, we get to know, okay, what has been done, what's the history of cinema, and then we start to compare it. It is very similar in respect to, like, these are the movements and theories I was talking about. But when we are looking at world cinema, if we talk about Japanese cinema, then the 40s and 50s were their best time. Like in today's time, we get to watch all kinds of cinema, but when we are studying cinema as an art form, then as the part of film studies, in Japan, we see only mostly the films of 40s and 50s when the best of their work was created. It's similar with Indian cinema. It was said that 50s and 60s was the golden period, and it was said so because the filmmakers that were there, they were appreciated worldwide. Like Satyajit Ray was awarded the highest prize in Berlin and Cannes. Then there was the Mother India. It was nominated for an Oscar. Then there was Neecha Nagar, which was screened at Venice, I think. So and in later years, Ritik Ghatak and Gurdutt were appreciated a lot, but they belong to the same era of 50s and 60s. So whenever there's another term called representative cinema, where we took a certain portion of time, and this time represents the kind of cinema that country was making. So whenever we watch, like in today's time, we can't watch each and every film that's given to us on the OTT platforms or through torrents. So if we have to watch world cinema, we go to the representative cinema. Like if we have to watch Indian cinema, if you have to tell someone, okay, you should watch Indian films, so you will tell a few names, a few films which you consider best of the best, not your personal preference when you are studying films. So it is with every country and a lot of eras. It's the same with Iranian cinema or the Hong Kong cinema of the 90s or Iranian cinema of the late 80s and the 90s. So these all kind of cinema from different parts of the world, they give us a trend, a style. When we study, it's easier for us to put them in a certain kind of box, and then we can compare it with other kinds of films, and it becomes easier for us. So that was Breathless by Godard. It's a French film, and it got famous because it was very different in shooting style and editing style and the way actors acted. So and it made way for a different kind of cinema. The new Hollywood was greatly inspired by French New Wave. So this film belonged to French New Wave cinema of the 1960s. So that's what we are discussing here. Like one kind of cinema, every whatever cinema we are watching, like whatever decade or whatever representative cinema of an era or of a country we're watching. So it is somewhat or somehow inspired by the previous generations, previous styles or previous trends. So it made way for New Hollywood. And the Hollywood was greatly inspired by the French cinema and the German expressionist movements. Which we call it film noir, which we have called it as film noir in later years. So so that's why it's important to know and appreciate, and we would always notice that film appreciation and world cinema, they're used together because they always belong together. To understand the medium of cinema, one has to look at the cinema of the whole world. It gives us a perspective. We become mature, and it conditions us to look at a film, even if we are not very much interested. Like we have to let go of our subjectivity, and it it helps us in reading a film objectively. So that's why it is important to watch world cinema. And also it it fosters an environment for appreciation and analysis. Like it delves into the history and the story behind a film. It We get to know the about the filmmakers, and it enables us to critically analyze a work along the lines of design, the imagery, and the techniques. So that's why one should watch world cinema. It is necessary to be aware, and only then we can analyze or appreciate films of today's times effectively. Um okay, so how do we analyze a film? There are a few basic things that we can do, like there is a subject matter. Subject matter is a simple thing, like whatever subject we are making our film on, and it can be anything. It can vary from simple like talwar wars, or like any current topic, or we can explore an emotion, or we can make a science fiction. So even with science fiction, we have to analyze that when we are making a science fiction, it's a commentary on our society, and the films where we can't comment on the social problems directly, because usually what happens that these kinds of films are become preachy, or people don't like them usually. So when a science fiction film is made, they make it they make it as a fantasy, because there would be a certain group of people who watch it and enjoy it. It is for the purpose of entertainment, but later when they process the information in their subconscious, they would realize that there was more to the story. It would be some kind of there would be a social context to it. Okay, so here it's a science fiction film, Planet of the Apes, but when we watch it at the first glance, we are we get interested in whatever is happening. But and I have shown you a very specific clip, so the story is very interesting. But after you watch the film and eventually you start thinking about it, and you realize that okay, it's a commentary on on slavery, and how the things would be if the humans are in place of animals, and vice versa. So that's how if we have to, like, make a film directly on the subject, it would not be that interesting. So filmmaker chooses a different kind of technique here. So with film appreciation, we have to understand how a filmmaker is thinking, and we have to understand that what is he trying to say. If there has been other things that are made on a similar subject, or it's a different if it's a different point of view, if it's real or not. There are innovations in the storytelling. So that's one thing. We comment on the subject matter. Then there is technical mastery. Like, we talk about different departments: cinematography and art, the performance, story writing. We comment on these specific departments as to how are they executing their work? Like, and what are the rules? Are they following all the rules? And if they're not following the rules, why are they not doing it? Is there coherence between all the departments in telling the story? Sometimes it happens that the visuals are very beautiful and the sound is very disturbing. So why is that happening? Is the director trying to say something, or he's at fault and he has not been able to sync them properly, the visuals and the audio. So we comment on this, and then there are motifs, signs, and symbols. There in the first clip we see that when the Aishwarya Rai throws away this utensil with the sindoor, and she's walking back. She's running to the door, and there are her foot imprints. So it's just the same as when she must have entered the house when she was newlywed. So these kind of symbolism, and when Shah Rukh Khan dies, we see the diya extinguishing. So we try to make meaning of the symbolism apart from the subject matter and the technical know-how. And finally, with all of these things, we try to compare. Like when we are starting to study the films, it's in to do it easily, because when we start, we have not seen everything, and it's not even possible but it's a very long process to watch everything and then analyze it. So it's very easy when we start to compare it. So what can we do? That we compare it with the film with the other films. So these three things, the first three things, the subject matter or technical mastery and motifs and symbolism. So we compare them with the other films, and then we understand, okay, which film is addressing a subject in what way, or which film is showing a similar kind of, like if a film is showing Mumbai or Delhi in different light and the other film is showing it differently. So how is the cinematography different? If it's a romantic comedy, then they would shoot the Delhi differently, and if it's a dark and serious subject, then then the cinematography would be very different. So what kind of lensing they are using, or what kind of colors they are using. So we can start simply by comparing, and we would know that, okay, so this is helping the story or not. So we just have to find the common things and the different things. And again, it goes with the with the filmmaker's work. We can compare a single filmmaker's different works and analyze how good is he in direction, and what kind of filmmaking he prefers. Like does he prefer similar type of, like some of the filmmakers would make only science fiction, some of the filmmakers will make only drama, and when they try an action film, it's not as effective as his other works. So we get to know, okay, this is his strong point. These are the songs and dances are his strong point, but maybe not the dialogue or the visual imagery. So we just have to compare different works, and same with the cinematography and the costume designer or the editor. So we just have to find a pattern where what's similar and what's different. And apart from these, there are other things also, like we can watch, we can look for the certification, like what kind of certification of filmmakers films get. Like it's always A or adult, or it's universal, it's like PG-13 or PG-17. And we would know that what kind of audience the director is looking at. So it's very simple. It's very easy to look for these kind of patterns. So and there are few things when we review a film, when we start, when we are not that mature. So we tend to go towards giving marks. Like we are in a hurry to evaluate a film director, and just say that, okay, this film is worth of just 1 star, or this film is always 5 star. And we should not do that. Like as a film appreciation student, or a film watcher, someone who's watching world cinema. So our priority should be like we should know why a film is being made, like why a director is making this film. Because it so happens, it happens often that all the critics are giving a film just 1 star, but anyhow the film does a lots of business. So at that point we have to realize that maybe the filmmaker is deliberately making a certain kind of cinema, or maybe he can do a better job, or he can make films differently, but he's choosing not to. So we have to understand that also. So if we have to evaluate a film, we can say, okay, this film is made for this kind of audience, and it's landing. And if it's intended for that target, you can say that, okay, this film is not a classy film. This is made for masses. So we should just avoid to pass a judgment in our eagerness. There's another thing, another small thing, where what we do, that we give our judgment in specific parts. Like when we are making a film, when we are watching a film, it is in India that the culture of interval is there, and obviously that's why we judge it on judge a film in halves. Okay, so the first half is fast or the slow, or this one is better or that one is worse. So I think as a student, as a film student, we should try to watch film as a whole. Because if we study the 3-act structure, we would know that any story, it starts slow and builds up on characterization, and that's why the end or the climax works for us, because we understand and we know everything about it. So it is not always that a film is fast or slow. We should maybe the action is too fast, but the story is happening in a slow manner. So we have to understand that also. And again, sometimes we watch a film and we say that the cinematography was very effective, but the editing was not that great. So instead of saying this, we can convey our the emotions can be conveyed better if we say that cinematography is working for the story and editing is not working for the story. It is possible, and even this also happens, that people say that editing was very good, but maybe it's not helping the story at all. So as a film student, we have to be aware of these small things, and because these kind of this kind of conversation happens with the with like with public in our drawing room, in our living room, we converse like this. But as a film student, you have to know a little more than that. You have to understand things in a better way. And finally, I think when one is reviewing a film, the personal preference should be avoided. Like everyone has a taste. One likes a romantic film, or they can like action film. But when they watch a different kind of film which is not of their interest, they start to they don't like it just because they don't like it. So when we are watching world cinema, that is what's conditioning us to watch all kind of cinema, so that we can appreciate cinema in its entirety, not just because we like a certain kind of film. So I think that's it. Like these would be the few points for reviewing a film.
You explained about how to review a film.
Yeah.
I just want to understand what is the difference between film reviews and appreciation, or appreciation is just an extension of film review.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Like appreciation is, you can say that it's an extension of film review only. Film review, we review a film when we're analyzing a film that's releasing, or even an old film. But it is with film appreciation, it is more academic in nature. When we are studying film appreciation, we would it would include world cinema, and it would talk about different trends and all the movements and all the theories. There would be more of theory. With film review, it mostly tells you that one should watch it or not watch it. So I think that's the minor difference between the two.
All right, thank you. Another one that I would like to ask on behalf of my students is that how do you think that film appreciation can help students who are interested in filmmaking?
So as I said, like when we are appreciating a film, we would know we would watch all kind of cinema, and we would understand all the theories, and we will know about the different filmmakers and their work, and how they have expressed different emotions, how whatever stories they have told. So as a film student, whoever is trying to make a film, it becomes easy. They directly watch how the geniuses work. Like it's same with any other field. Like if you're an architect, you look at different kinds of architecture and analyze them, and you would know what kind of thing you want to make. So it helps us in conditioning our mind. Like when we are starting to make a film, we don't know, like we start from scratch. So initially we can just copy it. Like imitation is the best form of flattery, we say. And that's how we learn any kind of art. Like if we have to start painting or drawing, we go with the smaller drawings, and then we are told to copy the famous artworks, and that's how we learn, just by practicing and by watching it. Our brain gets conditioned in a way that things become easier to us.
Okay, all right. So just one more. So there's this. It's just for
I keep like I keep juggling between the two because initially when I started filmmaking, I got interested in films. So I used to like anything that is that's exciting and which we don't see normally in our society. Like and I think it's true for everyone. We like to watch whatever that cannot be seen. Like if we look out the window and there's normal traffic going on, no one most of us haven't seen any murder or we haven't seen any shooting, but if it's an action film we are excited. So I think films are whatever like filmmakers make those films that get attention by the viewer. So in that respect, I think every filmmaker is trying to do that. And secondly, whatever I've heard from the filmmaker, that it's his freedom of speech and expression. So again, that is true. Like he's free to show anything. So I think, and the other point of view is we watch it as a film, and obviously it goes the other way also. But and some of the filmmakers who are politically correct or they have a certain ideology, it shows in their films. Like for example, like Vishal Bhardwaj, or if in the West we talk about Steven Spielberg. So they have made films, their family and everyone can watch it, and even then there is hardly anything that that would offend anyone. So I think it depends on the filmmaker. Obviously, what you're saying, that it's right, that one should try to make films which are which benefit the society, and but one should not restrict any filmmaker if he does not want to pertain to a certain kind of cinema.
Okay. We student Priyanka Naithani appreciating a commercial cinema.
I think whatever I've told, like it's more or less the documentary film and a commercial cinema. It's not that much different if you're reviewing it, because one has a fictional story, the other is non-fiction. The rest of the things are same. The cinematography is there, the editing part is there, even the narration is there. So like the points on which you can analyze a documentary, they're almost the same. But yes, documentary has a few additional things where like in film we judge it on more on entertainment and more on evoking an emotion, with and less on information. With documentary, the priority is more on information and little bit less. Like I would not say that documentaries are not made for to make you feel something. Like there are documentaries that make you feel sad or calm, but the primary purpose is to give you information. So one should look at this, that the information is passed on, and how much objectivity is there. There are, when we study documentaries, it's said that you have to be objective. But when a director is making a film, I would say it automatically becomes subjective. It's his subject, it's his decision what to show in his on his camera and what to cut it off in editing. So there is subjectivity involved already. So when you're appreciating, like when you're reviewing a documentary, you have to make sure that you are not caught up in whatever the filmmaker is saying completely. You have to analyze it on your own, the information that's being passed on to you, how much of it is correct and how much of it is director's vision, director's propaganda. So one should be able to differentiate between a propaganda film and then like, normal film, normal documentary.
Sir, there is one more question.
Yeah.
Cinema industry is business, but and the art film in India, especially when there is this talk like this was a commercial one. So it's bad, but some are referred to be an art film as well. But it gets the lesser audience as compared to the commercial cinema. After all, films are to entertain in a way. So you being as a professional, what are your views? So basically students wants to ask the difference between the commercial film and the art film and on what aspects we differentiate the categories of the films and how they become a successful films like on these categories.
Okay, so like this is these are not academic terms when we say commercial films and art films. Like we just saw Devdas, a clip of Devdas. So it's an out and out commercial film, but a lot of artwork is done in that film. The camera and the music, it's very in if I can say, it's arty. So there's not much difference when you are reviewing a film, but it's very simple. Like why are you making a film? If you know that you're making a film for commercial success, so we would know that okay, it's a commercial film. We would know that what kind of actors you are taking, if they are sellable or not, and the or how is the audience responding to it. So I think it's very easy. Like if it's getting released in a number of theaters, like 3,000 or 5,000 theaters, so 5,000 screens. So we would know that it's a commercial film. And if it's an art film, so when we say art film, usually it means that it is director's vision, and he's making it to again convey a thought or a feeling, and it is very specific to a target audience. It is not for everyone. So if a certain group of people, like only a certain class wants to watch a film, it pertains to the art film category, because only they would know how to appreciate a film like that, because there would not be much of entertainment in them for them. So I don't think there is much difference when you are appreciating a film. As a film student, you should know, for you, I think you should watch them with similar kind of interest. And what was the other thing you asked? On what points?
On what points they are successful, like commercial aspect or entertainment aspect, and but art film they get the lesser audience. So what can be the reason?
Because what, like we have discussed it, the films on basis of the art that's involved in them. So in a commercial film, things are easier to comprehend. Like for a film student, he would understand everything. It would be easier to understand the symbolism and the the times that we are showing, the story part, the dialogue part, we would analyze it differently. And there would be cryptic dialogues, and there would be different kind of lighting for different kind of mood. And but for the audience, they don't understand cinema for the similarly, like they like it for entertainment. So for them, we simplify things. We use simple frames, we use simple colors, and we use simple dialogues. There's not much complexity in whatever we are saying. And just now we were talking about Kabir Singh. So we tell stories that are easily find connection with the audience. So that's how we make commercial films. And then obviously there is lots of promotion is involved in an art films. When we make a film like that, so they are generally made for awards and different international film festivals. So their target is different. So when their target is different, they make it different, and they promote it differently, and different kinds of budget is involved.
Yes, sir. Sir, I would like to ask you one thing, that regional cinema is still under many challenges as far as commercial cinema is concerned. Since your movie Baba is a regional cinema, Marathi film, and it has been screened in many international and national film festivals. So, sir, I just want to ask that where the audience reception lies between the commercial cinema and regional cinema. What is the take of the audience when they compare the commercial cinema and regional cinema? How they receive, I mean to say, how they perceive and how they receive the content of cinema.
So I don't think it is very much different, because I understand, like in northern states of India, it is because everyone is Hindi speaking. So for them, there is nothing like regional cinema. It is Hindi mainstream commercial cinema. But in Maharashtra and in Bengal and in the southern states, everywhere they have different cinema, like the regional cinema and the commercial Hindi. If you're talking about Hindi cinema as commercial cinema, so both of these cinema exist side by side. There is not much difference, like if in all the languages also, there are commercial films and there are films that are targeted for a specific audience. So I don't see much difference in commercial cinema in Hindi or in different regions. And obviously we start comparing them with Hindi and with other regions, because if it's a Tamil movie, so obviously it would get screens in Tamil Nadu, and maybe a few other screens in adjoining states. So they are getting lesser screens, and that's why their profit making is lesser in comparison to the Hindi films, because there are more Hindi speaking states and they get more screens, so they make more money. I think that's just it. Like, there's not any other difference.
So, sir, is there any difference between the audience of film societies and commercial cinema?
Yeah, I think there is, because as a when you're a part of a film society, you want to explore and you want to challenge your mind. You want to explore new kind of emotions. And when it's about commercial cinema, they repeat the same, like it was said, the formula film when we talk about. So they repeat the same things again and again because it's working. And the people like it. They don't want to challenge themselves when they're watching a film, because already they are already they are stressed over and upset over many other things. So for them, cinema is entertainment. It's just their kind of vent out. They watch it to vent out their feelings. But for a member of film society, a film student watches film to explore new things. He wants to just watch new things. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. It was indeed an insightful session. I'm pretty sure that movie buffs are quite satisfied today. So I would now request Dr. Amrish Saxena, Dean DME Media School and Director DME Studios, to please acknowledge the gathering.
Okay, what to say? It's already a very, very long session. And I believe, I mean, only all those people are left who are really very keen to understand the cinema. Otherwise, also as an optional subject, not many are interested in understanding cinema or appreciating cinema, because watching cinema is something else as a common viewer, and appreciating cinema is a little bit difficult because you have to understand the theories, you have to understand the movements and all, you have to understand the trends which are there in different parts of the world. So it's a little bit academic, and that is why, I mean, most of the people, including our students, they are interested in watching cinema as compared to studying cinema or understanding cinema. But then whosoever is interested, our job is to help that person to understand cinema in a better manner. And so as teachers, since you people are interested in cinema, and I mean, many more students are interested in cinema, so this is a group of all such people who are inclined towards this medium and who are attracted towards this medium. And it's an ongoing journey. It will never stop. We should all continue our endeavor to understand cinema in a better manner, further in a better manner, and to expand our horizon as far as film appreciation is concerned. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you, sir. So this is the third day of our orientation session, and tomorrow we have amongst us Mr. Pankaj Saxena, filmmaker, broadcast media consultant, cinema academic and writer, FTI alumni, Pune, Gurgaon, and Ms. Divya Vasudev from RJ. She's an RJ, Radio City, TEDx speaker, New Delhi. Let us continue this journey of learning together. Thank you. Thank you for your cooperation and time.
Thank you.
At Delhi Metropolitan Education DME, we have an excellent infrastructure. We have a studio for production which is known as Studio 62. It was inaugurated by Tigmanshu Dhulia, who is a noted filmmaker. And within the studio, we have so many facilities. We have a chroma setup, we have a news setup, we have a chat room setup. And since floor is splendid, we can shoot any kind of program. We also have a separate radio studio.
And we have also organized Mega Film Festival SIFI and International Conference ICANN, and received lots of films and received lots of paper in that conference.
For a college, the software is very important. In my college, the software comprises of three things. First is the teaching, second is the research, and third is the mentoring. With the help of these three softwares, we train a student in such a manner that placement is just a byproduct.
One of the essential features of Law School at DME is its well-equipped moot court. Since its inception, DME has organized several moot court competitions and workshops just to enhance the mooting skills, which have been conducted under the distinguished guidance of various luminaries from bench, bar and academics.
Judicial Training Academy is the most shining feature of Delhi Metropolitan Education, Noida. We have a huge library to help out our students with more than 15,000 books, including Halsbury's Laws of England.
DME has a very robust library infrastructure that not only caters to the curriculum needs of the students and the teachers, but also provides a great academic ambience. The library is equipped with latest books, journals, and other e-resources.
At DME, we not only believe in academic excellence, but we also provide platform to students to showcase their talent through big open amphitheatre, beautiful auditorium, multi-purpose seminar hall, equipped with world-class facilities. Recently, we have conducted Cultural Fest Aloha in January 2020 and Anugunj, that is the Universal IP Fest, in February 2020.